Hello, welcome to Record Sports Hotline Live, brought to you by NordVPN, the best VPN to ensure your online privacy. Right at the top of the show, I'm joined by the one and only Keith Jackson with some breaking news, Keith.
Yeah, I've just had a text message here. I'm just reading it. We can confirm the Hotline Live, but an exclusive that Auston Trusty's appeal against his red card has been dismissed by the SFA's fast track tribunal hearing this afternoon or this evening. Richard King had a similar fast track hearing for his red card, St Mirren defender, for the imaginary incident that was supposed to have happened between him and Callum Slattery on Saturday night. He was successful, so his suspension is dropped. But Auston Trusty, the decision has been taken. No backing down on that one. It's been confirmed, and as a result, he will be suspended from Saturday's Old Firm game at Ibrox, the Sunday, sorry. So yeah, that's the breaking news. I would expect that'll be being confirmed in the next wee while. But a bit of I don't know. Is it a blow? Did Celtic fans really expect that one to be overturned? Was it a shot to nothing? I don't know. But either way, it's our understanding that that decision will stay as dished out during the game on Sunday afternoon.
People watching can get in touch. Let us know your thoughts on that. Are you surprised by the outcome? Auston Trusty's appeal has officially been rejected. I think, Keith, we talked about it last night. I didn't think it would get overturned, although I personally didn't think it was a red card. I didn't think it got overturned, but it's a big blow for Celtic going into this game.
Yeah, well, I mean, Martin O'Neill doesn't have his problems to search for right now, does he? And having to do without one of his regular centre halves isn't going to make it any easier. That said, Trusty has been up and down in a lot of games recently. He's been magnificent at times. I kind of feel that Sunday's Old Firm match would have been perfect for him, because I think he's very good when he's concentrating and defending his penalty area. I think that's the strength of the Scales and Trusty partnership at the back for Celtic, and it's likely that the Celtic defence will come under periods of pressure. You would imagine against Rangers, Trusty would probably be an ideal for that, just in terms of his physical presence, his ability to get his head on stuff, make clearances, tackles, and he's quick over the ground. So that's a blow. So it's either Dane Murray now. Does he come into it, or is it the new boy that's not got a game under his belt yet at Bournemouth that gets thrown into?
Brentford, sorry.
Sorry, Brentford. Yeah, that's just an absolute baptism of fire if that was to be the case. Ben Arthur, isn't it? So.
Aye. Well, look, I caught up earlier on today with the guys on the Record Celtic podcast, which is out if you want to listen to it, with Michael Gannon and Ryan McDonald. Mick actually put forward, Keith, he thinks there could be a formation change for Celtic. But before we get to all that, just what we finish on Trusty, I wasn't the only one that thought Trusty shouldn't have been sent off at the weekend.
No, our very own Barry Ferguson. Now, this is quite extraordinary when you consider it. Former Rangers skipper, Rangers interim manager last season, and before that announcement had been made today, Barry Ferguson, in an interview with Record Sport, said that he thought it was a scandalous decision. I think you'll have the exact quotes in front of you now, Dan.
I do. Sorry, my computer froze there, which was absolutely brilliant timing. As you say, Barry Ferguson says, I'm not even going to let refereeing decisions enter my brain. I'm actually trying to erase VAR out of my mind. I'm only thinking of what's going to happen in the pitch football-wise. The big decisions that weekend were baffling. St Mirren Motherwell game, I like to watch football, particularly like Motherwell. That decision was astonishing. He was thinking, is this a wind-up? And as for Trusty, he says, as for the Trusty red card, it's one of those ones where the ref should be saying, Trusty McGrath, come here, going to stop all this nonsense at maximum, yellow card, in my opinion, maximum. I think he summed it up pretty well, to be fair.
So there you go. But we did say last night, didn't we? We did predict that because when it slowed down, there's enough reason there for the SFA to sort of circle the wagons on this and say that it's too much force, a downward striking motion. They can call that violent, whatever it is. I kind of expected that to be the case, but a lot of me agrees with Barry Ferguson's verdict. I think his point is that if the referee goes over the two of them, as he says, maximum yellow card, you just kind of nip the thing right in the bud on the pitch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
When VAR gets involved. And also, now you've got to look at, and what's the consequences here for Nick Walsh, who was VAR at the St Mirren game. So he has unilaterally decided to overrule the on-field referee without sending him to a screen to have another look for himself. He has decided to referee that moment, that sort of I don't know if you can even call it a flashpoint between Richard King and Callum Slattery, and he has taken it upon himself to send off a St Mirren player, St Mirren fighting for their lives at the bottom of the table, and he's made up a decision. He's made up an incident that simply did not occur. And worse than that, he's sitting there with a remote control and I don't know how many different camera angles. And he still goes with that. I'm afraid there has to be accountability for that. I had high hopes for Nick Walsh. Maybe a bit more than a year ago, I thought he was emerging as one of our top officials. I don't know what's happened to him. And I don't know how he could possibly have arrived. One, the process is wrong. Two, the outcome is wrong. And it's all on him. So what happens there? Can he be trusted?
See, even accountability is one thing, and I completely agree. But I would just love to know, how on earth do you arrive at that decision? What is your thought process? I mean, Tam in the comments says absolutely ridiculous. I mean, like you say, he's invented something happening.
He's seen something that wasn't there.
Aye.
And he's convinced himself. And I think for me, you've got to stick with the process. That's what we keep getting told. So surely, in that event, he has to call. Who was the referee at St Mirren? Can't remember who the on-field ref was. But surely, Nick Walsh, the process, the protocol says that if that's what you think you've seen, you've got to call him over and let him take a look for himself. He, after all, is the guy that's in charge of this.
Yeah, exactly.
So Nick Walsh has pulled rank, gone above the referee, and then made a blatantly wrong decision. So wrong that even when the SFA and Willie Collum and the refs are in full defence mode, they can't justify that. They can't vindicate it. They can't even attempt to. So they have to overturn that decision, and it makes a mockery of the whole process. At a moment in time when it seems that every week and every big game, and in this particular season when it's coming to the boil like never before, you've got referees making incredibly bad decisions, whether it's in Clydesdale House or on the pitch. And, I go back to that Barry Ferguson piece because he also talks specifically about the Mikey Moore incident at Livingston and late in the game, in added time when Rangers are pushing to try and win that game 3-2. They're pushing for a third goal. And I think his quotes on that are absolutely bang on the money as well, Dan.
He says, forget about whether or not it's a penalty or it wasn't a penalty. How a referee can't see it's a foul in the first place, that's the worrying thing for me. And he says it's just alarming that a referee doesn't think that's a foul. I mean, that's a pretty good point. I mean, how can you look at that and go, nothing to see here, play on?
It's staggering, and it's worrying. And kind of, I think the main point about Ferguson's thing is he's trying not to think about how VAR or refereeing decisions might affect Sunday's game at Ibrox between Rangers and Celtic. Because if you waste your time and your nervous energy thinking about somebody throwing one of these into the works, then, I think he's just keeping his fingers crossed, bracing himself and just hoping that this game and potentially the interest of each side trying to claw back hearts and win this title could be decided upon by a decision. And it's too late, by the way, on the following Tuesday or whenever it is, once you've put a fast track appeal together and somebody says, oh yeah, well, right enough. Sorry, guys. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. It wasn't good enough for St Mirren, for Richard King, and it won't be good enough next week. In fact, you can imagine what the meltdown looks like if there is a major mistake made by the man in the middle, who's John Beaton, or the man sitting behind the TV screen in Clydesdale House, which I believe is Stephen McLean this weekend. But I wouldn't want to be them now as well. That's another thing. The pressure just get ramped up
Aye,
because
aye,
people are
absolutely.
looking at this saying, this cannot be trusted. You guys cannot be trusted. Either one, to make the decisions with your own eyes, or two, and this is the incredible bit, to be sitting watching slow motion replays from who knows how many different angles, and you still get it wrong. That's inexcusable,
Aye.
and it's
Biz-
really concerning.
And it's bizarre. It's just bizarre. I don't know if, you know, you can get things wrong, but though, I mean, just mad. We've got plenty of comments coming in on this already, Keith. It's quite a hot topic. Our pal Kyle says, I was chatting to people today. My opinion is Nick Walsh shouldn't be refereeing for weeks. Craig
There
Marshall.
has to be a repercussion. There has
Aye.
to be something. It has to be a message has to get sent out that that's simply unacceptable.
Aye. Aye, and Paul Brady says Walsh should be made to explain his decision to the press. That'd be good.
I
We'll get him
wish.
on here. We'll get him on here.
I'd love that.
The Gun Platoon says Walsh has previous these decisions. The Diomande sending off. Brian says, I'm not sure the referees nowadays are capable of making any decisions anymore. And a couple of people, Keith, bringing up McKenna says, what are your opinions for the ref on the game on Sunday? Which, of course, is John Beaton for the game at Ibrox.
Good luck to him. Look, John Beaton, and I don't think it's fair that this baggage, you know, and I think people that are, you know, in positions who should know better, who have experience of how volatile this whole thing can be, I don't think the brother Beaton thing is helpful in any way, shape, or form. I've heard it said. I think that John Beaton is in a really unenviable position. That's how we look at it, normal people. I don't think referees do look at it like that. I think they seem to quite like it. They get some sort of weird, I don't know, enjoyment out of it. Perhaps they should all just chuck it and go and become traffic wardens. It doesn't seem like normal to me, but he will enjoy it because this is the top honour. If you're an official getting one of these games, that's the sort of the thing that you're looking to do. That's the ambition, to be put in charge of the games that really matter. But you know what? In some senses, you feel as if you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. If he makes a decision which is seen as a pro Rangers decision, he's going to get absolutely slaughtered for it. And if he makes a decision that works in Celtic's favour, he's going to have Rangers people saying he was bending over backwards because he's accused of this, that, and the next. It's really unhealthy. We talked about this weeks ago. I did predict at that point that this is exactly where we're heading. This season will drag us out there eventually. These are big decisions. I just hope that they're not the appetizers for the main event this weekend, because there's so much on this game now. And you know what? The referee is going to need help. And that's what VAR is there to provide. The safety blanket. The opportunity to look at something, slow it down, study the angles, get it right. I don't think that's too much to ask for. And I think that John Beaton, there will be a decision, or decisions plural, at some point on Sunday afternoon that he's going to need help. And my concern is, if I'm John Beaton, can I trust these guys? Can I trust these guys to look at a screen, to use the remote controls and come to the right conclusion? Because ultimately, John Beaton's the guy out there carrying the can for it. I think it's a real mess, and I think, and I've really wanted to advocate for VAR. I've really wanted to say that it's a good thing, and we just need to learn to use it properly. What I'm getting depressed about, because I still believe all that to be true, what I'm getting really depressed and a bit concerned about is that the longer this goes on, the worse we seem to get at it.
Aye.
And the more
You're right,
pressure that's being applied, the better the season comes, the more competitive the games become. It seems the more likelihood there is that somebody is going to have a brain fart. And then we get dragged into all sorts of things, don't we?
Aye. I mean, in the comments, Tommy says the referee cares almost seems deliberate. This one here from the Curry Muncher says the irony is that SFA refs are sponsored by Specsavers. NB
Well, that was meant
Jambo.
to be a joke at stuff.
I know.
I remember when the sponsorship deal was first done. That was a long, long time ago, and that was it. Was kind of that's ironic, bit of humour and all this.
Joke.
Yeah.
NB Jambo says, what side is blaming SFA come Monday after the defeat? The irony isn't lost on non-Old Firm fans. And John says, this would never be allowed in England. Why doesn't this apply to Scotland too? And I just wanted to chime in the back of that. I do feel like
What doesn't apply?
I think he just means that this wouldn't. John, correct me if I'm wrong, but this just wouldn't go down in England. This wouldn't be allowed to happen. I think the state of the decisions, the bizarre decisions, and
there have been periods in England. There have been periods of similar levels of chaos in English football. There have been a lot of bad decisions made there as well. So it's not, exclusive to Scotland and our referees. My concern is that we seem to be getting worse. We're not improving. We're going the other direction. And there's been a big emphasis on trying to get a bit more certainty, a bit more continuity, whatever words you want to pick, a bit more professionalism to the overall decision making and consistency. And it's not there. The worry is that if anything, it's getting worse. It's getting more muddled. The decisions are getting more confusing, and they're leaving people behind. The fans that are in the stadiums. I mean, and I'm sure this is just a small thing, but even Celtic fans were right to talk about it. The decision not to award Liam Scales with a penalty at the weekend, and then VAR puts up on the scoreboard, or whoever was responsible for putting it up on the scoreboard puts it up on the scoreboard that foul outside the box. What
it's
are people meant to look at?
I chuckled there because it is actually comical. I mean, it's
just when you think you can't get this any more wrong, guys. They somehow, and the Nick Walsh one's a scary one, and actually, I'm going to say it's a relief. It's not a relief if you're St Mirren, who's fighting for your life right now, or Richard King, who gets sent off for doing nothing the other night. It's not, but it's almost a relief in a way that the worst one of the lot wasn't a decision which affected a Rangers game or a Celtic game, because the levels of accusations heading into this weekend would be off the scale. So you've almost got, right, here was the worst one, guys. That was St Mirren versus Motherwell. There's a couple of bad ones in the Celtic game, probably a couple of bad ones in the Rangers game, but they sort of level out. If you had one side that was feeling even more aggrieved than the other going into this weekend, I don't know. What is it? You're batting down the hatches time. It'll be batting down the hatches time anyway. But there is an element of relief that a decision as ludicrous as the Richard King one wasn't applied to either one half of the Old Firm going into this game.
I should say,
I don't know. I honestly don't know where you go from there.
I
do want to know what the conversation is with Nick Walsh. He does need to be taken to task on this. He does need to be asked, why didn't you stick to the protocol? How did you come up with a decision that everybody else can see simply wasn't the case? And on what basis do you think that you can now be trusted going forward into a season which is reaching a sort of, a climax here, that if I'm Willie Collum, I'm saying, guys, help us out. Help me, help you. It's the Jerry Maguire stuff. Help me, help you. Make the right decision. Stop doing stupid stuff. And
I couldn't agree more. Well, I should say as well, I completely misinterpreted John's comment a few minutes ago. He was talking about the fact that he thinks John Beaton's a Rangers fan and he shouldn't be allowed to referee if a team you support. And a lot of people in the comments, I'm a great guy, says referee allegiances need to be declared and managed. Plenty of people saying that, and Paul Brady as well, saying, you need to declare it. So that's what he meant. Apologies, John, for getting that wrong. Ian as well says, this is why we need foreign refs for the Glasgow derby.
Do you remember we had foreign refs?
Aye. It didn't go too well, did it?
No. It was horrendous. It was horrendous. I was at Celtic Park, and I can't even remember where the guys were from, but oh my word. So no, we don't. And what we need is, and this is the difficult bit, and this is why we were talking about this a couple of weeks ago, Dan, about the fears that this season becomes so hotly contested that people start, resorting to conspiracy theories to explain away defeats and this, that, and next. There is no conspiracy to this. Not for me. Our refs are just poor and struggling. And whether or not they're being properly coached by the man at the top, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it. It seems like their performance level is dropping at an alarming rate. But I'm sorry, and I'm sure, the guys out there probably don't want to hear it. I just don't buy it. I don't buy conspiracies. There's a lot of hearsay. Oh, he supports him, or he went to that school. Look, these guys are out there. I think they're honest brokers. They're just not very good. That's the problem. That's the crux of the matter.
Joe in the comments says, I really think Specsavers should be taking legal action against the SFA for damaging their reputation.
Everybody's off to boots.
Aye. Jimmy says the foreign refs will be from Dublin, and the Goon Platoon says we'll get them from the Vatican City. That's a good idea, either. I'm sure that will calm everyone down.
So what was I just saying, Dan? Can we all just take a step back from?
Aye, I know.
From that, please.
I know. Aye. I'm trying to think. Sorry, my computer keeps freezing tonight, Keith. It's really causing me a bit of an issue, but I'll try and keep going while I can. Earlier on today...
Don't worry, you'll get a shot on VAR at the weekend.
Aye, that's a good point. Aye. Earlier on today, I caught up with Michael Gannon and Ryan McDonald on the Record Celtic podcast. They were discussing the week ahead for Celtic.
Boys are in Germany.
The boys are over in Stuttgart, and we will hopefully have them in the show tomorrow night, if not tomorrow, Thursday night, to look at, Celtic's second leg tie. We talked a bit about that. We also talked about the game on Sunday, and we can have a listen to what they said. I mean, obviously we've mentioned Stuttgart. That game will take care of itself, I think, but looking forward to the game on Sunday. If you're watching this, you'll be able to see the league table on your screen. You said, I think you both agreed that Celtic need at least a draw at Ibrox to stay in the title race. Do you think
must not lose.
Do you think they'll get that?
As I say, you wouldn't be surprised if they do. I mean, I just think, I know Trusty hasn't been great, but I think with these type of backs to the wall games that it could potentially be, I think you will be a big miss, and especially with the alternatives at centre back. I think that is a big issue for Celtic. But listen, I wouldn't be surprised if they came away with a draw. I don't expect them to win. I think the Scottish Cup fixture the following week could be a completely different story. It's different. It's a kind of winner-takes-all scenario. But we'll get to that next week. But in terms of this week, in terms of this Sunday, I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of came away with a draw. And I think Martin will probably bite your hand off for it.
Yeah, it's potentially could be another silly one, couldn't it? It could be another. I mean, we get quite a lot of silly Old Firm games. I think there could be another one. It could be a 2 or something. It could be something silly, because there's a lot of pressure. There are a lot of guys who are a bit flaky. Two defences that are ropey. There's going to be pressure on the match officials as well. So brace yourself for that storm that's going to come down the pipeline.
John Beaton and
you can set your watch by some kind of VAR storm. So I think it potentially could be quite silly. What I would say is I don't think you can separate this one from the cup tie, because very often when you have these double headers are so close, one rolls into the other one. So if you get gubbed in one, you tend to gub in the next one as well, because the pressure's intensified. If you get a good result in the first one, it can kick on to the next one as well. In terms of going to Ibrox twice in a week, if something can pull off a result at the weekend, Rangers fans are not going to be too chuffed getting the cup tie. So you could turn it about, and there's also the full Blue Moon stand, the Celtic fans, that kind of stuff. But and the flip side, Celtic are doing on Sunday, like you're predicting getting something up at Pataudry, they go back there, it might not be a positive experience the following week as well. So I think it's all linked. I think these two games are as they always are, these double headers. They're intrinsically linked, and I think this first one is going to set the tone for the second one.
Yeah, like Mick said, I think the narrative of the season rests on these three games coming up, because if Celtic collapse, there's going to be an inquest. Fans will be up in arms for like never before. If they win, then it's game on. It's game on. So it's a mouth-watering 10 days ahead, and I can't really wait to see what unfolds.
Very last thing, guys. Predictions for Thursday and Sunday. You know, like put you in the spot. How's it going to go?
Mystic Mick.
Oh, well, that'd be good. We get some good coups up this year, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
Thursday, I would be putting the entire mortgage on a fairly comfortable Stuttgart victory. It depends how they play it. I mean, listen, we're going to go talk to the Stuttgart manager and Honus and his players tomorrow. I guarantee they'll be saying, "Oh, the tie's not over. We're treating Celtic seriously." They might put out some changes as well because if they're through, right? So they're in the hunt for a Champions League place in the Bundesliga. If they're sensible, they go and play it smart and rest a few big names and see out without too much stress. Celtic just need to get out alive. I mean, if they get a sore one, if you're Martin O'Neill, I think you've got to rest Kieran Tierney. Yeah. You've got to give Cal McGregor a break for once. You've got to Rojo. You've got to keep it away from him as well. Ideally, you would have rested a Scales or a Trusty in this one, but they can't. I think that as for the rest, I think you've got to play Shankara, try and get him a goal, try and get him something to get him going. Yep. Obviously, Mavuka's not in the squad. I think you play in Taneki and try and get him a spark. But apart from that, I think you rest some of these guys, and I'm not saying you give up the ghost, but you go and give the guys a chance to go and play yourself out this team for Sunday. But I can't see it apart from a comfortable Stuttgart victory, to be honest with you.
I mean, for me, I think there will be changes. I think Sinisalo will start goals. I wouldn't be surprised to see Donovan get the nod at right back. I think Saraki will come in for Tierney at left back. I don't think they'll put Murray in ahead of Scales or Trusty at centre back. So I think that pairing will be solid. Midfield, Cal McGregor. I was speaking about it just now, actually the way to the hotel. He's been an ever present this season. 44 games he's played this season. So there comes a point where you need to take him out. You need to give the guy a rest. He's 32.
He's a machinery.
But at the same time, he started against Auckland Talbot, so I think he'll start against Stuttgart. So I can see him starting. I think Rio Hatate, Paulo Bernardo will probably come in. Obviously, Oxlade-Chamberlain is he's not registered in the squad. I think Ben Nygren. I mean, I said at the start of the podcast, I don't know what you would do without his goals. So you're going to rely upon him heavily at Ibrox. I wouldn't be surprised to see him come out. And then in the wings, I think Taneke, he needs to kind of get rid of this super sub tag and he needs to start influencing games from the first whistle. So I think that's an opportunity for him. Yang in the right probably, and then Big Tam up front. As I say, he's only got 1 goal in 7, so he really needs to find his shooting boots. And if he can get a goal against Stuttgart, then that'll do him the world of good going to Ibrox. So with all that in mind, I think a heavily rotated team. I can see Stuttgart winning by 2 goals to 0.
In terms of Sunday, I mean, we're talking about playing Arthur or Dave Murray. Is there a temptation maybe to play Kieran Tierney?
Kieran Tierney, perhaps, no?
The only thing I would say is that the Rangers, I mean, we don't know how Nadiri's going to be if he's fit, because he's a big lump of a boy, and I think you need physicality up against him. Sharmiti is also a big lump of a boy. So if it wasn't those two, you think, well, you could put Tierney at centre half and play Saraki left back, and you get the experience of Tierney in there, has played there before. Or does he go to a 3 and have Tierney in there alongside to make it a bit more robust? I think that might be a temptation.
Oh, I was saying shivers, didn't it?
Well, no, but it's not. But Wilfred didn't actually play a back 3. He put a back 1. With a back 1, yeah. With a back side. But if you play Tierney, Scales, and Dane Murray as a back 3, you're actually playing an old-fashioned Martin O'Neill back 3.
Aye. Well, a back 5 almost.
Saraki and Rojo, it's a back 5, or you could do 4-4-1-1 and Negri off the top and try and have an extra midfield player in there. Do you put Saraki in the middle of the park against Rangers with a bit of legs in there?
See now you've said that, Mick. I think that will be a temptation of 3 at the back. I could see that.
I think you'll be thinking about it, because if you're going to go with the young lad alongside Scales against Rangers might go with 2 up top as well. They might go with Smitty and
they did that against Hearts at home. They went
so I mean that's going to be. I mean, and they'll not be shy to get the ball into areas in the air either. So I say Sunday, my prediction is Sunday's going to be a daft one. I'm going to go for another one of these silly 3 each ones. Because I think we keep building these games up. Well, this is a game that's going to define the season, and you go, oh, actually, they get beat. Oh, Hearts drop points, and Rangers, or then the following week they go out and get beat the following week. Like, Like Celtic could get beat and then go and win in Pittodrie, whereas Hearts slip up the following week and it's or Hearts don't beat Aberdeen, and it's like actually nothing's really changed. We've got a bit of that as well. So I mean, we're building up with do or die, which might not actually be the case.
I just think Celtic need to get out there with a point at the bare minimum. I really do. And I think if they are to put Tierney at centre back, I don't think you would go with as a 4. So if they were to go with that, I don't think it would be a 4, with Tierney and Trusty, and then the 2 fullbacks either side, because Tierney's really played in that system. It would have to be the Scotland system, similar to that, 3 at the back. But for me, I don't know. I think this is maybe a conversation for another podcast, but I just don't really think this formation suits this current Celtic team anyway. I think they look pretty dysfunctional in it. But whether you switch to 3 for the first time going to Ibrox, I'm not so sure. You might be tempted to do it tomorrow night as a kind of test.
Dummy run.
So you might actually be able to read into exactly how Martin Neil's thinking with.
He should be going 5-4-1. 5 at the back, 4 midfield, Negan up top on his own. and someone needs to tell him, Negan came to me and asked him about being a striker. Oh, no, I'm not a striker. I'm like, tell you what, you're doing what you're told. You're going to be a striker. You're scoring 18 goals. You're on the penalty box half the game. You're a striker. He could do that. I mean, he could, if he's going to be trying to get a point, he can go 5-4-1 and play Negan up top, which is, I think, wouldn't be the worst idea in the world.
I'm going to sit in the fence with Mick. I think it could potentially be a 2-2 draw. I think Celtic would take that.
It's going to be 4-3 to Celtic, guys. There you go. You can take that to the bank.
7 goals. Villa.
My predictions, Keith, are always normally spot on. And Paul Brady says the Celtic team struggling to score. Mick can't see 3 at Ibrox. Can't see them conceding 3 though. Green Machine says, well, 5-4-1. Been saying this for a while. Pack the midfield. Like I said to Mick there, I can see the merit in perhaps Martin O'Neill putting 3 centre halves in, with Kieran Tierney being one of them at the weekend.
Yeah, alongside Johan Mialbi and Bobo Baldi.
They would be good. Aye. Even now, they'd be good.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I do see a merit in it. I think it is something that we'll be thinking about. It might help Celtic get more bodies into the midfield, which has been a problem area as well in recent Old Firm matches. Listen, I've actually reached the point where what's the point second guessing it? Let's just see what cards everybody's dealing with on Sunday afternoon. What the Rangers side looks like. Who knows? Will Rangers go 2 up top again? Do something similar to the game plan against Hearts? Suspect they might. But Danny Rowe, that's one of the things you have to say. He is flexible. He does change from week to week, for game to game, opponent to opponent. He'll come up with something different. So there's no way of really second guessing what Rangers going to do. Celtic, you think, have the preferred way of playing, but I think there might be a temptation for Martin O'Neill to look at it, and I think you might get an indicator towards that Thursday night. Because whatever he's got in his mind for Ibrox, you might see him giving it a bit of a practice run out on Thursday in a game that he knows Celtic aren't going to turn it around. So that might be the perfect dress rehearsal to roll something else out. I think it'd be a big one to not at least try it in a game situation before going to Ibrox and see what it looks like. But the personnel within that is likely to be different as well, isn't it? Because Trusty's an absolute stick-on to play in Germany, but can't play at Ibrox.
Aye. We see, just to keep things nice and even, Keith, we also caught up with the Record Rangers podcast today.
By the way, before you do that,
Two
things. Did you were you part of the Rangers podcast?
I actually wasn't part of it, no, but I've caught it up.
Right, okay. I just noticed that I'm looking at you, there's a slight difference between the Daniel Caw that I'm looking at this evening and the Daniel Caw that was doing the Celtic podcast earlier. Let me guess, is it hair product?
It might be. There's a good chance of that.
Your hair was looking a bit more bouncy.
The guys could only do it at a certain time in Stuttgart, and it wasn't. I'm not a modern person, Keith. I really am.
Right, okay. Second thing before you go on. It's just been pointed out to me. I'm saying about, there has to be some sort of accountability. Nick Walsh has to get taken into a room and has to explain himself. just been pointed out to me that Nick has been promoted in FIFA lists. He's now our number 1 international referee.
Wow.
There we go.
And someone in the comments said, you're singling out Nick Walsh. It's purely because that particular decision.
Nick Walsh singled out Nick Walsh.
Aye, I know. And it's baffling. That's the only word for it. I was going to say there, as I say, Keith, that the Rangers podcast, Record Rangers podcast, was today as well. We can probably get their view from the other side of Glasgow. Let's hear what they think. It's only a shorter clip this time, but let's see what they think.
What I'll do to finish off, Andy, so your back page story today, Chris Boyd lose in your goners. So whoever loses on Sunday is out the title race, says Chris Boyd. Do you agree? And give us a score prediction.
Yes, I do agree. I think both Rangers and Celtic this season have been pretty fortunate. They've had repeated slip-ups, and every time they do, Hearts seem to have won, either that weekend or the weekend after, and it's allowed the title race to stay quite tight and compact. I mean, here we are, 10 games to go, and there's 6 points separating the 3 teams. I mean, you think about it, Rangers have drawn 11 games, Celtic have lost 7 games, so that tells you that whenever one team falters, the other 2 teams involved also seem to have a slip-up. So, but I'm just not entirely sure how long you can count on that happening, especially with 10 games to go. Listen, I think all 3 teams will drop points from here out. I think there will be moments when they all sort of cut each other's throats, but end of the day, Rangers are trailing. Celtic to win their game in hand. They can be behind even on that basis. So, I think Rangers have to be pretty much as punch perfect as they can be. From I think they're needing something in the region of 9 wins if they're going to win the league, and I think that has to happen. That has to start on Sunday.
Score prediction.
I think I've said for the piece we wrote online 2-0.
2-0. I went for 2-0 as well.
That was me. I went 2-0 first. Just
no. First and you copied, right?
I tend to agree. I just think going 7 points behind will be too much for Rangers. The way Hearts are playing, and I know obviously Hearts have got games against Rangers and Celtic still to play, and Motherwell, who we've not even mentioned, they're going to have a big impact, a big say in this title race as well. But I think 7 points at this stage of the season would be too much. But crucially, aside from that, I just think the psychological damage, a psychological blow of losing, let's be honest, losing to a poor Celtic team at Ibrox in the midst of this title race, when Rangers are kind of still seen as the team who are kind of on the up, if you like, and have kind of forced their way back into it. To lose an Old Firm game at Ibrox like Sunday with such importance on it, I just think psychologically, in terms of this squad, it would be a massive setback and difficult to recover from in a short space of time. And obviously they'd have the cup game against Celtic the following week, so who knows what kind of position they'll both be in getting into that one. But I think if either team loses it, they would pretty much be out yet. And I just think home advantage for Rangers, with the crowd behind them, if they can replicate the performance against Hearts, certainly in an attacking sense, and if they can tighten up at the back, I think they should be too strong for Celtic at home. And on top of that, if Celtic are missing the likes of Trusty, and I'm not saying Trusty's not a brilliant player, but to lose another centre-back for them, and if they were to get into it with a Scales and Dane Murray or the boy Arthur, I think Rangers would be too strong for them. I think they could win by a couple of goals as well.
Great, okay. Well,
what's your prediction?
I said 2-0 as well. I said earlier I went for 2-0 first in that online piece and you copied me. But anyway.
There's one scoreline to avoid in your cooking on Sunday.
Well, we'll be back next week to find out.
The Record Rangers podcast there, which is out everywhere if you want to check it out. The one thing that's for certain, Keith, or the only thing that's for certain, John says there'll be more twists and turns in this title race, regardless of the result on Sunday. And
I agree with that.
anything.
See, John actually speaks a lot of sense a lot of
Are
the time.
are you John secretly? Are you doing that on your keyboard? I think that could be likely.
Do you think that I'm technically proficient to be able to do that, Dan? You know me. You've known me long enough now.
Very
No,
good point.
I'm not. But there was another one there said that whoever loses on Sunday, if there is a loser, I don't think they're out of it either. I just
Really,
I-
even if they lost, you don't think they'd be out of the title race now?
I think that it becomes a bit harder for Rangers if they were to lose. Just because they've not gone the course and distance, because as Scott said, the sort of a impact that might have on them, knocking the wind out their sails with so much expectation on them going into this game. But Celtic have got the game in hand there. Just 3 points. If they win at Ibrox, Rangers would then be at least 4 points off the pace, maybe 7, probably 7.
Probably 7.
And I think that becomes a bit of a tall ask, to be perfectly honest. So I think it's more important, for Rangers not to lose it in a funny way. But Rangers have to approach it not thinking anything like that. Rangers have to approach it thinking this is must win. So, Daniel, honestly, mate,
Who knows?
everybody's getting made to look like a fool here, trying to predict what twists and turns are coming next in this campaign. As I've been saying for a wee while, it's probably best just to sit back and try, unless you're of a nervous disposition, to enjoy it.
I think that's some very good advice, and I think it's the perfect note for us to finish. Tuesday night's Hotline Live with Record Sport, brought to you by NordVPN. Keith, it's always an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, that was interesting tonight, wasn't it?
We got there in the end. We got there. Breaking news at the top and everything. The Hotline Live will keep you abreast of all the breaking news. Thank you so much for all the comments. Massively appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow at 6 p.m. to do it all again. Hope you can join us then. Thanks for watching.